Welcome. This is our first CLO Meetup for the year. We're very excited at the packed house we have. So I guess we're going to start with introductions because we want to get to know you guys as well a little better because we hope to work with you throughout the year. And then hopefully you'll get pieces in the virtual fashion show, which will show you where we're going to be showcasing that downstairs in a little bit. It's going to be pretty impressive. And before anything, I want to thank Shannon and JR with the iHope for allowing us to host as well as the facilities for the fashion show later on this year. So thank you guys. Were you going to say something else?
Just that because of the air handling system, you have to shout with
Okay. All right. So if at any point in time you can't hear any of us, just like kind of like get our attention. Or just be like, I hear you. So we're gonna go around and do introductions. I guess we can start since we're the instructors, and there is an instructor missing. Chrissy, she's at ITA right now, which is a conference for textiles and apparel. So she does send her regrets, but she will be here for the next few weeks. All right, I guess I can start. Margarita Benitez. I'm the faculty director of the Textile Lab. I'm the lead instigator of this motley crew of misfits that have attempted to do this. We did the first fashion show last year virtually, and like maybe some of you participated, maybe not. It was more like a testing that we could do it, and we accomplished it. This year we plan on making it bigger and better and more inclusive, so you don't necessarily have to be a fashion student to participate in the fashion show, and we're here to guide you. So that's what I do.
And hi, everyone. My name's Daniel. I know a lot of you since most of you are my students or I've seen you around. Let's see. Right now I'm teaching draping and illustration, so fashion drawing. So most of you are in one of those classes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm an instructor here. Good to see all of you.
Paula?
Hi, everybody. I'm Paula. Everybody, you know me. I know what I teach.
So if we can go around and just start right here.
My name is Rowan and I am a design student.
Oh,
My name is Camille, I'm also a design student.
My name's Olivia. I'm also a design student. My name's Sarah. I'm also a design student.
all right, let's go around this way. So next table.
And Caitlin.
Cool.
Raquel, I'm a design and merch student. I'm Anna.
Thanks. Are you part of the workshop? Yeah.
I'm Brandon, design student. Brandon, design student.
Shannon.
I'm Shannon Hines and I manage the makerspace downstairs.
I'm JR Kendall. I'm the executive director for DI and former director of taxes.
I was curious if there would be non-design students, but I guess not. Maybe not this time, maybe in the future. So do let your friends that are design majors know if they're interested, that they can participate as well. I guess just with a show of hands, who's used Flow before, like opened it and looked at it, maybe tried a few things? The majority of you have used Flow. Okay, that's good. That's wonderful. So these meetups were basically, we had the meetups last year where we went through and walked through processes, and all those videos are on our Textile Lab YouTube. We are recording as well today, and this presentation will be uploaded as well. So if you need to refer to anything that we say, you can use that for your as an archival resource. Most of these sessions are going to be active working sessions where we can help you with your projects. We want to be able to help you bring your ideas to life so that you have something to submit by January when the submission opens. And of course, if there's certain things that you want us to showcase, you can always email us or get in contact with us and let us know, hey, I'm having difficulty with this. Yes,
If we're out of the country, can some participate?
out of the country, what do you mean?
Like say abroad.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
The great thing about digital stuff. So yeah, and sometimes we'll have tips and tricks depending on what your projects are. So we'll be working with you individually to a degree. Checking in with you, making sure that you're moving forward and progressing for this. So I guess the next thing is what? The software. Well, you all have the CLO software installed, I'm assuming. Does anyone not have it installed? Okay.
Right.
I will get you a software in a minute, the download link in a minute. Meet updates, this doc is gonna live in a repository that we'll send you next week. We're doing a team for the CLO workshops and for the digital fashion show. So this doc will be accessible from there. You have the different meet updates. So there's today, December 9th, January 27th, February 24th. And the January and February ones are for prepping your submissions, finalizing that stuff. So that we get it in the format that we need it to. There might be some tricky things we have to do to it in order for it to work downstairs. We're still determining that. And then the fashion show is going to be April 21st. Any questions so far? No, okay. So I guess we can show them the fashion show from last year.
Yeah.
So you get an idea. So this was just kind of like a proof of concept. So that was done by rendering. If you've used CLO, you see there's a 3D window and you can render the view. So for video, you have to render at a really high resolution. And there's about 30 images per second of video. No, 30 frames a second. Yeah, for video, 29.97, but rounds up to 30. So whenever you do a rendering, imagine that plus the size of the screen, plus the quality. So it does a lot of reflection. So like the gold dress, oh my God, that took forever to render and get that video clip going. So that's the reason why we need to make sure that the submissions are done early enough in case we have to go that route. Theoretically, we're hoping for it to be a real-time simulation, but that might not be the case. So we want to make sure the account that we can have a show definitely one form or the other. So that's that. That's the logistics behind the date, the deadline, and so forth.
Exactly.
What's next?
Let's see. So we've got project showcase.
Okay.
So you saw the virtual show and got to see some examples of what people were doing last year, right? Now, let's see some examples from professors. Let's see some examples from students. So we got a whole list of different ones prepared for you. If you're in my classes, you've already seen my examples, so I do apologize. You're going to see them again. But let's go ahead and open those up. All right, so for instance, here was a dress that I did, playing around with some patterns. Not the best pattern in the world, but just doing some testing. But as you can see, that's a bunch of patterns. It's little tiny spirals that have been attached to the skirt to create that ruffling and that flounce that falls down the body. Here we've got a nice little example of some draping that was done. Pretty much that's just a really large scarf that's been attached to the shoulder and at the hip, and then the back of it kind of just flows off like so. So, you know, adding a little bit of extra drama to it. Always good for a show. Other examples of that, if you want to see it, there's also options where you can turntable things. We will not be presenting the show with turntables. This is just something you can do on your own. It's a cool way to show your designs off. Throw it on TikTok, right? So here are some examples from students from Paula's class. They are, so as you can see, working through some of those designs and bringing them actually to life. We won't be actually physically sewing these. We'll bring it to the digital part, but just wanted to show you even the connections between how these programs correlate to physical sewing and physical pattern making and draping. So beautiful work there. And Paul, maybe you can speak to these ones because I don't know.
Yeah, it was part of a final project that students did. And again, experimenting with, our focus has been on pattern making and utilizing fitting elements like darts, but there's so much more you can do. This is a student that was just really did intricate work. Forget his name. Last name was Zimmerman. Anyway, so this is his work. And then experimentation with fabrics. There's a fabric library in the CLO program. And you also have access to free virtual digital fabrics through, Cosette, Cottonworks.
Oh, yeah.
But we pretty much stuck with the library that was in the program.
Paula, with this, they were like, for this design where it's a bunch of doors, did they create the wrap digitally and then add the lines to create pattern pieces in Flow, or did they import the pattern pieces and stitch them together?
The latter.
Okay.
They created
Oops, sorry about that.
and then simulated. There's a pin tool in the program too, where you can pin drapes and stuff. Well, as you can see, this is a little more tailored because it has darts and it has seaming. So this is an example of manipulating those patterns.
Oh, there's a bunch in here. And then this one here is from Chrissy Reilly Stevenson, who is another instructor who will be joining us at the next meetup. So here we've got a beautiful little sheath dress with some little bit of transparency going up the top, nice little illusion lace. Here you can see some pattern clash happening and mixing those two elements together and having some really interesting style lines. Here is one of the jackets from a student example and a dress. And then a formal dress. In the back of that sheath. And here we've got a really nice zip up jacket. So this was also made in CLO. See how beautiful and intricate those patterns are. Notice that CLO, it's not just about making dresses, right? You can do, like here we've got 3 different garments going on. So you can actually build all 3 of them and bring them into that one look. So you don't have to just look at it as one garment, you know? You can really do a lot of layering here and get some really cool textures and techniques and silhouettes based from that. Here we've got a puffer jacket and then just a nice little A-line skirt or circle skirt. And then we've got a dress and a pillow. So some other cool things about the program is that you can actually take some fabric and add properties to them to make things puff out. If you actually apply the gravity in the opposite direction, it won't have the proper physics and it will just fly around in the digital space, which is kind of fun to do. So at some point in time, maybe we'll just check that out for fun.
Can I just add?
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that's nice about that feature, if you notice the pedestal that she's leaning on, CLO isn't restricted to apparel. They do interiors, they do furniture, you can do a lot of different things with CLO. So the shapes, you can create 3-dimensional shapes in CLO as well. It's not just confined to apparel, but I think our focus is apparel.
I mean, We could do some fun accessories though to throw onto the apparel. Like you've
Oh,
got,
shoes, you can build shoes.
exactly, you can build shoes in here. You can build belts. You can even build like stuffed animals. I've seen designers do that. Not sure if you want to put that down the runway necessarily, but just knowing that you can do it is pretty cool. Here we've got some active wear, and as you can see, changing that pose into that run pose, just to see how the fabric is responding to the body, especially when you apply fit maps. If you don't know what a fit map is, pretty much it will show you like the wear strain within the garment when you simulate. Then here's a beautiful zip up with a nice little handkerchief skirt at the bottom. And there's the back of that. And then another one of the student examples. I can see here, beautiful neckline happening. And then that is all the examples. So as you can see, you can really take your design in whatever direction you want to. And once you submit them, they will go through the review process and we'll be looking over them. And also we're going to have some industry professionals coming in to go over that process. So this is such a great experience because you'll actually get some of that elements that you get in your senior BFA earlier on. Not that all of you are sophomores, but I do see a lot of sophomores in the room, right? So is there any questions? Yes. Can I speak a little louder? Yep, absolutely. I'm sorry.
You can submit up to 7 designs
Mhm.
because there's quite a bit of you. But that doesn't guarantee that all 7 will be chosen.
Right, exactly. Like if you were to do 7 and like, for instance, through the review process, maybe like you've got like an 80% acceptance rate and you've got like 5 of them in, let's say. So not to say that all of them will necessarily go in since we really want to elevate this show and show like the best of the best, right? But if all you do is 1, that's also okay. It will still go through the same review process. And as it comes to reviews, if something needs to be adjusted, it's not like we're going to be like, you're not in the show. Like, we'll say, hey, you need to make these corrections to it so we can get this submitted. Does that make sense? Yep.
Yeah, and don't just submit like a t-shirt dress. We want to see your skills since you're all designers in here.
Exactly. Push it and elevate it. Any other questions? Yes, Rowan.
Appropriate. A vector is not a person.
You absolutely can. You can even drape on one of the forms at the school and then photograph that that drape. Am I speaking loud enough, by the way, or a little bit louder? Louder? Okay. So where was I?
And drape.
Draping. You can actually drape your fabric and then you can photograph it and then after that import it into the program and then go from there. So even if you're like, I'm not the best at creating patterns in CLO 3D, you can actually create a pattern or do the drape physically as well and then bring it in. So there's lots of different ways to do this and you're not limited to your own process. Or you're not limited, you can choose your own process. Yes. Does the show have a theme?
Yeah.
No, not yet, but I mean, I don't think we're really going to have a theme necessarily, just because we don't want to stifle anyone's creativity. We really want everyone to show what their interest in design is. Yeah, fantastic question. Thank you. Yes, Christy. No, you can do any size, any gender you like. You can they even have children. So if you want to show children's wear, you could do that as well, which is a little bit easier to do digitally sometimes because, child models can be a little bit hard to handle, right? Exactly.
I'm not sure how much we could accommodate if you're doing like assistive designs, so. That's not,
Design.
well, like, you know, like for building wheelchairs.
Oh. Let me talk to Jim over at CLO on that one,
Yeah.
because
I'm sure there's a way, but
there's gotta be a way
Yeah,
to
if
do
you're
that.
interested in that, we'll help.
we'll figure it out.
Yes, so, yeah. You can literally pitch whatever design and concept you want to us, and we're gonna hear you out, and we're gonna help you bring it to life. So is everyone excited for this? It's gonna be really cool. We've got so much, it's gonna be such an amazing show. It's going to be amazing with the technology we'll be utilizing in the DI hub. So we'll definitely be going down to check that room out here shortly. Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
No? All right, let's go back to our document. So, oh, that's actually perfectly timed. So we're gonna go down and check out the room that the show happening in. And then after that, we're gonna come back and do some work time and some idea generating. Can't speak today.
You can, this being current, you can leave stuff here, if you're, like, well, it's probably, I could probably take it with me, but laptops and stuff will be on here.
Yeah, not another. I've only been in here 2 weeks, so I'm like.
Okay, gotcha. We'll wait for a minute or so. Recording still.
Yours? Case, oh my God, yeah.
We'll have to just add it back.
I'll splice it. I need to remember to splice it then.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Should we end the recording? Because technically
Well, are you gonna go over any
idea generation,
intro to cool stuff?
we could. Yeah,
Like
we
a
could,
quick run through?
yeah, we could definitely do that. Huh?
Do you guys by any chance have a USB to USB?
You,
I don't. You can check in the front.
I like one of these.
Yeah.
I only have this one and unfortunately gotta use that, but if you ask JR, that might be one,
Shannon, or if you
or go downstairs.
go downstairs and ask again.
Like, I just, it's from a mouse.
You can do it without a mouse for now.
I think we could also discuss the show and kind of explain how it's, we can explain the show and like, people will be walking in and out. It's not gonna be like a traditional.
Doesn't have to be today.
No,
We can ask.
we can,
Yeah,
yeah,
we can't share all our secrets at once.
it's true. Okay. We're gonna have to splice all this. All right. Oh, not yet.
Yeah. Each side. Yeah. It's just like, it's not, if you want to get it's that much. So. I mean, it's.
I feel like I just keep cutting more and more because it's like, no.
Thing is to get you agile enough and close, put them in there.
Yeah. Trying to figure out. Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, but like, especially good. It's changed, yeah.
It wasn't like that last semester. I mean, last year.
But it just makes it like, yeah.
And join. Are they enough to email?
Nice, thank you. Yeah, no, I can't believe I'm gonna think about the last minute. Sorry about that. We were just trying to figure out what we kind of do last year. There's so many hours running around.
Oh, yeah. I'll make. I mean, I make it really long.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Textile. Yeah, textile. It's not internal layout. Print layout, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you gotta use the. Push a button.
If you show against these now, what's the vote, sir? Yeah, it's one to okay. Yeah.
You can go. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, a little brown, maybe like. That's what I'm like, do I do it for myself or? I just think yours has that like. Yours should be ritual. They should. How else are people gonna know it's me? Everyone knows our login and password, right? Okay, I'm gonna use that.
Did everyone sign the attendance sheet? All right. Fantastic. So, wasn't that space just amazing? Just thinking about like how that experience is going to be as we have viewers walking through there and seeing all of your designs just going across all those screens. It's gonna be really exciting. So super excited that we're doing this and you're all gonna be a part of it. So let's go ahead and do some idea generating. So first off, we gotta understand how to utilize CLO, right? So I'm gonna just go over some basics, and then after that, we're gonna break out and start kind of going our own paths with our own designs. So first and foremost, for those that are in 2D or in 3D right now, some of this may be a little bit repetitive. But as you can see, when this, and everyone has it up, right? So as you can see, you've got your 3D window. Oh, yes. Oh. Yep, Paul's gonna come around. So on the left-hand side, you have your 3D window, and then on the right, you have your 2D window. So to understand what that even means, go ahead and just follow through with me. So you see the library to the left, and you can see that list that says garment, avatar, hanger, fabric, hardware and trims, materials, stage. What I want you to do is open up an avatar, and I highly recommend that you go with female V2 or male V2 or kid V1. These avatars are just a little bit more lifelike. The other ones are kind of like a PlayStation 2 rendering. So one more time. Oh, gotcha. Here, Paul's gonna be right there. So I'm gonna open up female V2. At the bottom of the list, you can see there are all the avatars that you can choose from. So pretty much pick whatever one you would like. I've got a few extras that I downloaded from Close Set, but if you're interested in getting more, I can show you how to do that at some point. Does that sound good? So I'm going to choose Grace. And as you can see, Grace will show up in the 3D window now. So does everyone have a mouse? So if you have a mouse, you can just scroll on the center wheel to bring it forward. If you're on a computer, you can use your touchpad and just use 2 fingers and scroll up or back. Now, if you have like customized your touchpad, it might be a little bit different depending on your system preferences. So first thing we want to do is just kind of play around with this 3D window and understand how it works. So if you right click, you can see how you actually can spin around the avatar, and you can take it in any direction. You get an aerial view, you can go from the back, you can get three-quarter angles, whatever you prefer. Now, CLO has some shortcut keys that are very useful. And those shortcuts are key 1, key 2, key 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, or 7, and then 0. 7, 8, 9. Well, actually 8 and 0 are there, but 7 and 9 are disengaged. It's because of the placement on a keypad. If you actually had a physical or a full keypad like on a standard computer, the model would be standing technically on the 5. So you can change the directions based on that. So that's pretty much the avatar. Now, if you go into that little drop-down menu in the library to the left, you'll see where it says avatar, hair, motion, pose, shoes, and size. You can change any of these elements up if you'd like. So let's start out with size. And as you can see, you'll pop up with the US ASTM sizing system, and it goes by Missy Curvy, Missy Straight, Petite Curvy, Petite Straight, Plus Curvy, Plus Straight. And you're able to choose any of these. And as you can see, the sizes go from a 2 up to a 20. So you're more than welcome to choose whatever size you would like. I'm going to choose a size 12. And the moment you click that size, the avatar automatically shifts to the selected size. Now, we might not all be at the point where we're building patterns yet, and that's totally okay. So we're just going to bring a standard t-shirt in to begin with. So do you see where it says garment right above avatar in the library? I want you to select that, and it'll come in as a female t-shirt or a male t-shirt. And the name or the file name is the Z-Pack. So go ahead and select whichever t-shirt you prefer, or whichever one you want to show on your model. And you'll notice that it says open and it'll say pose and size. I want you to maintain the current avatar size and pose and hit OK. Now you've got a weird looking t-shirt that's hanging around the body, right? And that's because we haven't simulated it yet. Simulation is the process of applying like real world physics to the 3D space. So in order to engage your simulation and make it happen, all you have to do is hit the space bar. So go ahead and hit your space bar and it will come on down. Now, depending on your size, it might come in a little bit strange. Because it comes in as a standard 6. That happens, I'm just going to auto grade it real quick just so it fits properly. If yours isn't fitting properly, to the right on the bottom of the screen, there's a little key that says auto grading. If you hit that and hit OK, it will automatically size the patterns back up to match your size. And then once you simulate, it should fit a lot better then. Pretty cool, right? Yes. Where's it at? Here, let me point to it on the screen real quick. So that auto grading tool is right here. So when it comes to grading, has anyone here ever graded a pattern before? It went from like a size medium to a large, or done a full scale from extra small to 3x? So it is a very, very intense process. It takes a lot of time. So what we just did right here, it is wildly impressive. Because typically grading a pattern up like that would take you hours upon hours and hours. And we all just did it with a click of a button. Isn't that pretty cool? Yes, Chrissy. What did I do after the button? Slide it up. There you go. So I want you all to take a moment and think about that auto grading tool. How would that be useful? Let's say you started your own company, you're an entrepreneur, and you have this design and someone reaches out and they're like, hey, I love this dress. Can you replicate it for me? Think about what you could do with that auto grading. You're like, yeah, absolutely. Click a button to their size and it's done. That's pretty wild if you really think about it. Or how much you can actually improve your customer service even. And being able to create specialized sizing for individuals and custom tailoring with a click of a button. Yes, Chrissy.
Then like, if you don't see the pattern, then it's like.
Yep, exactly. It automatically changes it. If you actually look inside of your 2D window, do you notice that there's like a slight ghost of a pattern sitting inside of it? It's like a gray line that's separating out the space. And that is showing you where your original pattern was and how it graded out. Good question. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. So let's talk about fabric, because right now we just have a default fabric in here. So nothing too special, and it just has basic properties to it. In CLO, this fabric library has properties that are specific to every single fabric that it's assigned to. You can also go and download fabrics from different providers and different textile manufacturers. There's even companies out there that have devices where you can scan a fabric. Say you went to Joann's and you bought some fabric. It can actually scan the fabric itself and it recognizes the properties and then will apply it in a digital textile for you. So lots of crazy things you can do with this program. But anywho, for the library, we've already played around with the avatar, we've played around with the garment. Let's go ahead and go to fabrics. Now, t-shirts. What are t-shirts made out of? Jersey, exactly. Typically they're made out of jerseys. So I want you to go down this beautiful list, and if it comes in looking like this, if yours looks like this, there's two different viewpoints you can use. You can use this viewpoint, or you can click that little tiny list icon right here, and it will automatically just give you a nice running list. For my preferences, I always keep it like this just because I can read it a little bit clearer. But I want you to go down and find knit cotton jersey. And it's in alphabetical order. Now I want you to select that fabric and drag it over to this area here, which is called the object browser, and drop it in. Yep, absolutely. So you're going to pick up this knit cotton jersey from this fabric library. You're going to select and hold down the key, and you're going to drag it on over into the object browser and then release, and the fabric will drop in. So now we have to get this fabric into the t-shirt, right? So in the 2D window, I want you to marquee select all the pattern pieces. How you marquee select is make sure you're on the transform pattern tool, and I want you to select all of them and then release. You'll know that they're selected when they have a yellow and blue glow around them. Now what I want you to do is pick up that knit cotton jersey in the object browser, and I want you to drop it into those marquees, into those selected marquee pattern pieces. Since I marquee selected all of them, they're all going to have, it's going to put it in every single one of them. Now go ahead and zoom in your 3D window on the shirt. I want you to get really, really close and see what you notice. And what is that? It's jersey, right? So it actually has the texture of the jersey. It has the properties of the jersey. And let's test that out. And the drape as well.
Fabric which normally work in doesn't show an accurate drape on that on it.
Precisely. So it's very important to drop those fabrics in. Now, if you're not simulated, the garment will move like this, and we want to stay away from that. So just make sure that this arrow up here is highlighted blue. But what I want you to do is take the t-shirt and take that little hand and just give it some pulls and see what it does. See how it actually, the properties of it actually shows you where the movement is at, right? Try and stretch it down. See what happens. And even think how you could style something very specifically on the body. Like if you wanted to show a zipped jacket, you don't have to zip it the whole way up. You could show it halfway open for styling purposes. So you could really present your work in whichever way you'd like. So while unbleached knit jersey is beautiful in some cases, it's maybe you don't want your designs to all be white, right? So let's go ahead and I want you to go to your object browser, and that is up in this upper right hand. And I want you to click on the knit cotton jersey. Notice when I do that, below the property editor will give you a ton of information. And this information is specific to all the properties of that fabric. Now, we're not going to go through and every single property today. We'll be getting into those as we progress. But what I want you to do is find the basic parameters in the property editor, and you'll notice there's texture, normal map, and displacement map, and then color. For right now, we're just going to focus in on the color, but know that this is where you can drop in your own custom prints and patterns and bring that texture, that print to life. But we'll focus on color for right now. So I want you to double click the color menu, and you'll see that this menu will pop up that it says color. I want you to click on Pantone colors, which is right here. And notice that it comes in with FHI polyester TSX. Now in the industry, like these are used, but they're very specific to like activewear, for instance. So what you can do is go down to FHI cotton TCX. And I just want you to scroll through those colors. Can someone tell me what Pantone is? Yes, it's a whole color server, right? It's a whole color provider. And they standardize colors so that designers can be speaking the same language across the entire continent. It's really amazing because when you have those standards, you know that you're going to get exactly what you're asking for when you send it to a factory, for instance. Now, let's go ahead and choose whatever color you'd like. But I'm going to go with, let's see. I'm being indecisive today. Anyone have any suggestions for color? Green? Yeah. Lime green? Let me find one. Ooh. There we go. So notice here, whatever color you click on, the t-shirt automatically comes into that Pantone standard. So while it's not the most exciting thing in the world, think about if you were designing a t-shirt for a company and you wanted to see how the assortment looked together. You could test every single color out and see how they sit together very, very quickly, which is pretty amazing considering that process can sometimes take weeks, depending on getting samples back from the factory. But anywho, we're going to go with that neon green. I'm going to hit OK. And see how the t-shirt is in that beautiful neon shade now. So, are we all at the same spot? Did I lose anyone? Is there any questions I can answer? All right. Yes, Raquel. How'd you go about doing a pattern? So how'd you go about doing that would be within the 2D window. So we're going to cover some of those elements too, for sure. But to start off with, let's go ahead and edit this t-shirt. So I want to make a t-shirt dress, okay? So let's go ahead and what I want you to do is select Edit Pattern, and that tool is right below the Transform Pattern tool. It's that same triangle, but it has the 3 little dots on it. Notice when you select that, all of the anchor points show up on the pattern piece. So what I want you to do is to marquee select just the very bottom hem of this t-shirt. You'll know it's activated when all 3 are yellow and blue. And I'm sorry, what was your question? Yes, absolutely. Here, I'll point to it. So the edit pattern tool is this little one right here. You just go ahead and select that, and you'll notice all the anchor points will come up. Go ahead and marquee select just the hem. And what I want you to do is hold the shift key down, and I want you to use your directional arrows and start moving down with it. So just hit the down arrow. All right. So you might have something that looks like this at this point. Go ahead and simulate. And now we've got a dress. 2 seconds. Pretty nuts, right? So you can edit the patterns however you would like here. So that's just some basics of how it works. Anything that you do in the 2D window will be impacted and then be visible within 3D. So you're getting a live digital representation of what that garment looks like on the form. So here's made something. Here's like sewn something together, for instance, or made a pattern. So what happens when you sew something together and you haven't seen the final product, right? Any ideas? It comes out kind of wonky, right? Yeah, and then you have to go back and make edits and then do it again and then make more edits, and do it again. But here, you're able to make edits live and be able to see exactly what those edits are doing to the pattern itself. That's one of the many reasons why this tool is so incredibly useful. So let's keep editing here. That hem is a little bit tiny, isn't it? And that sweep is really narrow. So let's go ahead and open it up. So how we're going to do that is in the 3D window, there's this little tiny t-shirt that has an arrow next to it. And this is your edit style line tool. I want you to click on that and hold. And what happens is you'll get a list of 4 different options you have here. I want you to select Scale Style Line. And then I want you to just tap on the garment. Now, if it doesn't come, if it's not turning white, hit the simulation bar one more time and then select. You'll know that it's working when the garment loses all of its texture. It goes back to white and you see all the seams there. This is showing you where all your style lines are. Let's change it up. I want you to select the hem. And you have to hold it down and you'll notice that it gets highlighted blue. And then there's this little tiny scale that you're able to use. When you bring it down, it gets smaller. But when you bring it up, it gets larger. So I'm going to bring mine out, and it's going to have a bit of a moment where it's going to look like this. And I'm also going to do the same thing to the sleeves. And I'm going to scale them a little bit more open. Once we get to this point, I just want you to simulate. And see how your garment looks now. There we go. Gonna just open up that sleeve. Now, we're starting to get what looks like a hospital gown, right? But yeah, a little bit of a moo-moo there. But see how we just took a basic t-shirt and made these changes to it? Now, of course, we want to see something a lot more elevated than this, but this is just for us to kind of get used to the tools at this point. So Raquel asked if we about making patterns. So even if you're not a pattern maker at this point, I want to show you some tools that you can use to create building blocks. So I'm going to show you the, let's see if I can find it. 1 second. The parametric pattern tool. So up on the top, you'll notice that it says editor. So I want you to go there and go to that parametric pattern tool. And then you're going to get this list with a ton of measurements here. So what I want you to do is create a body front and choose symmetry, and a body back and choose symmetry. I went into editor, and then I went to the parametric pattern, and it's got it? Perfect. And then go ahead and just hit symmetry for both the body front and the body back. And at the bottom of the screen, I want you to hit create. Look what's happening over my 2D window. Bodice, 2 seconds. So now we have this basic bodice. We can take that sloper and create so many different things with it, right? In a matter of seconds. And was there a question? Yes. Let me see real quick. Yes, it's based off the avatar. Good question. So what can you do to this bodice to turn into something more exciting? What? Darts? Darts? Yeah, we could add some darts to it. What else could you do? You could shorten it. Add sleeves. Add some ruffles. There's so many things you could do to elevate this and turn it into something completely new and different, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete my t-shirt now so we can get this pattern up there. So I'm going to use my transform pattern tool. I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to choose delete. Oh, left a sleeve there. Hanging on for dear life. Now we've got these flat patterns here. So notice you get 4 pieces here, right? And they're all separate. I don't want to have a seam in the front of my bodice, so I'm actually going to choose to delete one of these for that front pattern. So I want to do something called unfold with symmetric sewing. And how you do that is you select edit pattern and select that center front line. Once it's highlighted yellow, I want you to go ahead and right click. Go down that list and you'll see unfold symmetric editing and sewing. It's right here. So go ahead and select that and see what happens.
Right, like to access that one.
Yep, exactly. I right clicked. Where did I right click? So what you do is you just select the line. You'll see how it highlights like to a blue color or yellow, depending. And then you just right click on the line and then hit that unfold symmetric editing and it unfolds to a full pattern piece. So we don't have sewing right now, so we have to figure out how to do the sewing. I'm going to show you a really quick, easy tool using auto sewing. Sewing can get very technical and specific, so I don't want to overload you too much today. I want you to kind of be able to explore and we'll help you out as you go, depending on your project. But what you do at this point is there's something called arrangement points. Arrangement points are in the 3D window, and you can use those to place them on the body. So I want you to find the avatar display, which is in the 3D window right here. I want you to select that and go over to display arrangement points. Arrangement points are going to come up, and there's going to be a bunch of blue dots all over your model now. In order to use this next tool, which is auto sewing, you have to have these have to work, okay? Or you have to have the arrangement points up. Now, what I want you to do is select that front bodice and come down to the arrangement points and put it on a few different ones. See how it changes its placement based on what arrangement point you select, and you'll get this gray little ghost of a pattern that hovers over top. I'm going to go with one at center bust. And then I'm going to whirl around to the back. I'm going to select these pattern pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and drop them on the back, just as I did the front. And now we're in that same position that we were back when we put the garment together originally. So I want you to go ahead and turn the arrangement points off at this point. Oh yeah, that's true. I always forget about that. But now we're going to do some auto sewing. So in the 3D window, right here, there is a little sewing machine with a little person with two patterns over them. And that's your auto sewing tool. I want you to go ahead and select that tool and see what happens. You'll get this menu that comes up and it'll ask you, is this a top? Is it pants? Is it skirt? So I'm going to go with the top. And the front type, is it openable, partially openable, or closed? I'm going to go with closed, right? And collar seam, we don't have a collar, so we can just leave that one on auto for right now. But go ahead and hit OK. Notice that there's these little tiny filaments now that are between the pattern pieces, and they're indicated by different color lines. These are your sewing lines, and these are the lines that are going to bring the patterns together. So this is kind of this is a little different how it works digitally, how compared to physical sewing, right? But I'm going to go around, make sure that everything's nice and sewn up, and then it's going to the right seam. And then we're going to hit simulate. I'm going to go ahead and just pull her dress out of her bust. There we go. But there we go. Now you got auto sewing down.